Hey and hi and welcome to Manifesting Monday. I am Jean Berry and I invite you to manifest with me. Today we are going to talk about high vibing. What's high vibing? And it's really an interesting topic and I think worth diving into because it's one of those things that makes manifesting simpler, easier, and faster when you start to really harness what that actually means. And I know that high vibe is what high vibe is one of those things that is thrown out there in spiritual manifesting circles, and it's not necessarily helpful in your use of it to actually make it go. And it's certainly not like caustic positivity, only high vibes here, right? It's not that. And it's not spiritual enlightenment, although I suppose at the very top vibration it would be that. But it's also not a specific philosophy. The vibe conversation actually is science. And I love this intersection of what is the science of manifesting and what is the kind of anecdotal how I make it work for me. And so I want to find those very duplicatable things. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is that idea of having high vibe as the way to actually make the things come into your world that you really, really, really want. And so this science piece of it is about the vibration that we are. And last week I had my piano tuned, and the piano tuner, actually a complete wizard at musical instruments and notes and as a musician and everything else. And he came in, and there was one of the keys on my piano that when you touched it, it actually kind of went, Bleh. It had this little buzz to it. And he thought maybe it was a string or something, but it was a full-on Sherlockian thing about how to find out why this note was buzzing. Well, it turned out there was a clasp on the other side of the piano that was a little metal piece that had gotten loosened. And it was on that particular note, it made a buzz. And so when he tightened that down, the buzz went away. And this is how the vibration works in our body. Every cell is a vibration. We are a whole bunch of empty space with some moving parts that are our vibration. That is your baseline vibration. Where you are right now is your baseline vibration. And then when things happen and things are going on around us and a note is struck over here, you buzz, right? It comes down to this idea of what we're reacting to, like what are we making go, and what we are harmonizing with. All right, I love those musical ideas behind this idea of vibing, because this is the way that we can truly make a difference in our own worlds and how we are creators, is to use our vibration in a way that actually has the things materialize in our world that we want. And if we think of ourselves then as notes, or the keys or the strings on the piano, and when we strike that one note, it makes a tone. And so we can tune them so that they match up to the thing that we want to have show up in our world. And that resonance then is how we manifest. The note is struck, we make that note, because that's how we're designed. So now we have to look at the other part of resonance and high vibing, which is coherence, which is what are we attaching ourselves to? What are we aligning to in a moment that makes us buzz? Well, one of the major ways we do that is through our emotions. And so there's a common chart that you may have seen. It's a triangular shape that has the vibrations rated on emotions. And there's a line kind of 2/3 up that they call love. And so it's become very popular in the manifesting world to talk about vibrating at a state of love or above to perhaps be considered high vibe. And so that's where that term kind of comes from. And it's not always possible in our human selves to feel, I'm in complete love with the world. In fact, I think that that's a full-on practice that we're all working toward. And yet, there are times where we could really benefit from raising our vibration. And so in any given moment, we get to notice where we are and then look at that. And instead of looking at this idea of like, I need to raise this, because that looks like some work, let's look at another musical term called harmonizing. And I love this idea of saying we're going to harmonize with with love. So let's take an example. Today, I got a notification from Facebook that they wanted something or they were going to shut down my account. It seemed really draconian, like, dang. And I have to tell you, I had this immediate response to that notice that sent me kind of in this swirling space into kind of overwhelm, or I don't know what that is, or that seems wrong, or all those kind of things that were sitting in my body in that moment. And I didn't want to be there. I also didn't want to spend any time on Facebook today. That wasn't on my list to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do with that. And so that felt even more overwhelming. So I want to look at the harmony of what would harmonize then my overwhelm with love. How can I lift up my overwhelm into a better place? Probably not into full-on love with Facebook. That's just not going to happen, right? But I need to find this space for me and my space so I can be most effective. And I can come on here and do the live that I said I was going to do today, right here and now. So to harmonize that with love, I want to look at self-love. How can I be more loving how can I be more kind to myself right now? All right, so now it's take a breath. So I'm actually going to invite you all, if you're still here with me now talking about vibration, I want to ask you to take a breath with me and see how that simply changes. So the pause of, oh, I noticed I'm over here. I don't want to be over there. Let's simply take a breath. That's it. Number one, take a breath together. And out. All right. So here we are taking a breath together. I love that my clock now says 11:22. Started at 11:11. Now we're at 11:22 for this collective breath. And now that automatically has me feel a tingling in my feet that says, okay, let's feel our feet. Feel your feet on the ground. Wiggle your toes. Feel connected to the earth that we're in. We are on the earth to have a human experience. And the only way we get to do that is through feeling things and doing things and moving ourselves and experiencing other people and eating food, and sometimes we experience things that are unpleasant as a contrast. We see the contrast of what we really want and we try it out. And then we move over here to the thing that we really, really, really want. So our human experience is this experience of embodying then our vibration and then starting to tune that vibration to what we really want it to be. So what do you want your vibration to be in alignment to? What is the coherence? So in heart math, which I think is a really great way to get coherence, I don't think it quite goes far enough, but I do love heart math as the idea of bringing your brain and your thoughts to your heart and lining it up with love. We're going to align the thoughts and the things that you want with love. And so that is the basis of heart math. And they've done a ton of research on it. It's actually pretty cool. I suggest you go over there and take a look at it if that's calling to you. And I like to take it another step further, because we have lots of other cells in our body, and we want to line up everything. We want to line up our hands. We want to line up the way we do things, right? How we interact with the stuff on the planet. We want it to line up with our hips. We want it to line up with our feet. We want it to line up with our spleen. We want it to line up with our entire cellular system. And so as we look at each part of our bodies, this is where we get to this high vibe space. And especially if you've ever been ill or sick and then there's one part of your body that's super upset, we want to bring more coherence and alignment to that part. This is the exact same thing that we're doing with food. That's the NAET, allergy elimination system, if you've ever heard of that, NAET. That's about aligning the vibration of a food back up with you because it wasn't aligned. There is a lot of philosophies about musical instruments themselves and tuning your system. And so I really want you to consider, what is your best way to tune your instrument? Sometimes that's movement and exercise. Sometimes it's the foods we eat. Sometimes it's the words we say. Sometimes it's the self-care and love that we give to ourselves. So it's a really big topic of talking about what is the high vibe up level that you're stepping into. It's first about being aware and conscious of how we're going to step into this. I have a whole series of different kind of instruments around my house. I do love music as part of that. I am not a sound healer per se, but I do for myself do those things. So I actually grabbed one little bowl today. It's aligned with the throat chakra, and so we will play that one for you today. And I really love that one for my normal way of being. I tend to be the kind of person who gets overwhelmed and then I can't speak, right? I can't talk. I can't make anything happen up here, right? I get very flustered. And so that one and that note and that tone for me is very useful to remind me of where my resonance is. And so awareness is the first step. Awareness of seeing that we are first and foremost vibrational beings. And secondly, that we can tune that vibration. So if we're at one of those lower level emotions, if we're angry, depressed, upset, the question always is, how do we step one up? How do we step one up? And I would encourage you to make your own list of the ways that you move one up from wherever you are. And there are limitless ways to do that, as combined with you, your desires, and your coherences. Like, what are the things that you vibrate to? What's when that note plays, you go, oh, yeah, that, oh. What is it? Ooh, that one. What's the thing that delights you? That's what I want at the top of your list. Your delight. Because that is how you get to the vibration that aligns with your biggest, deepest, most exciting desires. So I do want to take a moment at the end of this now to raise your vibe one step. And I hope that just hanging out with me for this little amount of time has allowed you to step into you, to step into your feelings and realign them. So I do want you to take one more breath with me. and let it out. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the love of the earth and all creation coming up through you, into your heart, into your throat, into your head, and flowing all the way up to your higher self, and your higher self giving it a hug back and sending it all back down through you to your feet. Feeling that tube of light and love and connectedness to the earth, to your humanness, and to your higher self is how you will make that resonance and high vibing work for you. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you would like to hear about all the new manifesting offers that are coming forward, go to manifestingmath.com, and I will keep you in the loop of all the extraordinary new tools and supports that are coming out to you. If you would like to get the Angels, Peacocks, and Butterfly games, it is now on Deckable. Deckable.com is a digital deck system which allows you to play the entire game right from your phone. Whew, on the go. Sometimes what we need during different seasons of our world. So thank you for hanging out with me today. Again, I'm Jean Berry, and I wish you a beautiful, high-vibing day.